Hey, Jack, how you doing, man? The Creation Agency. You are absolutely crushing out there in terms of, we were talking before we began recording. You're crushing it in terms of taking social media and really making it social one-to-one. And I love it because that's some of the stuff I talk about in my book there, High Profit Prospecting.
I'm just trying to be the next Mark Hunter, man.
No, you're not. You're trying to be the next Jack. Hey, you're doing what you do really well. Hey, but stop and think about that, because what we're talking about here is this whole game of social selling and social media. And man, have we gotten a lot of different terms on it. But you and I are both in agreement. You really got to make it one-to-one, because if you don't make it one-to-one, you're not going to get a sale.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple, right? I mean, anything you do in sales, and I think that's what separates the good sales and the top salespeople from the bottom, is no matter what communication tool it is that they're using with their customer, right? They're putting all of the personalization and all of the attention and all of the value on that one person, right? They're not worried about quantity. They're strictly worried about what's best for the buyer and quality. And social's no different than email or the phone or offline. I mean, online, you're doing the exact same thing that you're going to do offline. You're just having a good conversation and trying to keep it, value based. And a lot of times it's not as much, in a sales pitch, right? You're really talking about your product and how it's going to relate to them. On social, you're kind of just trying to get, inspire them and give them value from a personal and professional level. There's just a lot more fun that you can have.
See, now that's something interesting. You say personal and professional, because again, one of the things we were talking about before we hit the record button was you go out and you grab what is some of that personal information that you can learn about them from a social media profile, whether it be Instagram or Facebook, whatever. And then how do you use that in an email that you send to them? Yeah, it's spot on. It really is bringing different platforms together to allow you to communicate more effectively.
Yeah, and I think, we were talking about this earlier as well, is if you're a sales leader right now, this is interesting, I guess, way to go about looking at the different messaging in your sales team, right? So go pull, 100 of the last sales emails that your top 20% of sales reps sent. Go pull the bottom 80%, their last 100 sent emails, and then analyze them. I think what a lot of people don't realize is the top 20% of sales reps always have better messaging. They have, more personalization, more one-to-one. And that's what people want. I mean, it's not that hard to do it. I think a lot of people a lot of salespeople can't figure out how not to be selfish, right? I mean, they're just trained to be selfish. And
well, they've been trained just to throw out as many emails as possible or send out as many tweets as possible. It's all this quantity.
Yes.
And I'll tell you what, I think it's why people are absolutely turned off, but it's how do you change the quality? Because, I look at emails I get. Now, I view the majority of emails on my smartphone. And let me tell you something, that prospecting email looks pretty dumb on a smartphone. Why? Because it's, hi, my name is so-and-so, I want to introduce, or I sent you this email last week, didn't you get? Yeah, sucker, I got it, I am ignoring it. Okay, this one. But yeah, but it's the emails, like you said, that are personalized. So, it's that ability to go out and get social media information on you, bring it over, drop it into an email. And you know what? I can drop that into a voicemail. I can drop that into a telephone call. It's amazing how I can use that. And yeah, does it take a little bit longer? Sure, it takes a little bit longer. But you know what? What would I rather do? Send out 80 emails that get rejected, or send out 5 emails where I get 3 responses?
Yeah, I think it goes back to the whole thing, like hope is not a good long-term strategy, right? You send out a canned, message, and you just hope that people respond, they click, and, whatever. That's how most sales reps run their day. And they, nobody will admit that, but we both know, you analyze a sales team, most of them are on the hope strategy.
Yeah. And that isn't just with email, but how many LinkedIn messages do you get that are nothing but a cut and paste sales message that is so idiotic, so stupid that you go delete.
Well, and how many phone calls, right? I can't tell you how many times I get a cold call and I'm like, I'm just listening to this guy going, man, if you would have done your research and said, hey, I read one of your blog posts, amazing 7 ways to do this, and I've been using it, and went to your website, and I've just been consuming a lot of your content. It would be a pleasure to get 5 minutes of your time, Jack, to get some feedback on what we're doing, right? That would, I've only had that pitch one time, and don't use it on me now, anybody that, I'll know you watched this webinar. But I've only had that one time, and it was just to the point where how could I not take the call and give the guy feedback? And honestly, feedback to me, we both know as a buyer that feedback usually means, hey, there's, a little bit going to be a mini, pitch on here, but I'm okay with that. So I think it's, using and leveraging what's important to people, the information they're giving you, and using that in your messaging and your conversations will get you a lot farther in sales, and people will want to talk to you. And social is one of the vehicles to do that. And I would say that it should be your main vehicle when you're prospecting.
Oh, I think without doubt, and that's why we got to really craft this we got to shift the paradigm from, social media, social selling to really have it be meaning it's one-to-one. And I know there's some people out there talking about that, but boy, too many of them are just spraying and praying. Hey, let me push this note out. Let me push this thing out, and the phone is going to ring. And you know what? The phone isn't ringing so much anymore, because really what I got to do is I got to dialogue. I got to dialogue with you. When I dialogue with you, then I create that level of trust and confidence, and then you're willing to engage with me. Yeah, spot on.
Yeah, and the other thing is, you talk about the one-to-one strategy, and the one thing that we focus on with our clients is salespeople should be using social media in a strategic, one-to-one focused process. And when I say that is, if you, especially at the enterprise level in B2B or mid-market, you look at a lot of these companies, and their sales reps, they're doing bigger deal sizes, but they're only closing 7 logos a quarter, right? So what that tells you is they might have 100 opportunities a quarter, but they're only closing 7. So that means they're spending, 83% of their time having the wrong conversations, right? Or with totally the wrong people. And, if you think about using social strategically, if you understand who your target buyer is when you're prospecting, and you understand, who your target company is, and I think marketing should be able to give you that data, right? I think that's a disconnect, but that's another conversation for another day. But if the salespeople know this, then they can strategically, build some lists and contacts within those lists. Use a tool like social360.me, that's a free Google Chrome plugin. Go pull the data by hovering over a link in their LinkedIn profile to see what other social channels are they on. And then you strategically start to put a value touch process in order that's socially surrounding them or digitally surrounding them, right? Going and following them on Twitter, connecting with them on, LinkedIn, sharing their LinkedIn publish, using all personalized messaging from, their Instagram, from their Twitter. Try to get connected, and you can do that all in one day, right? If you see that somebody's on Instagram, go follow them on Instagram, go follow them on Twitter, and, maybe wait to connect with them on LinkedIn until you've shared a publish, you've had a little bit of engagement. Then send an email and then make a phone call, right? This is just cadence workflow stuff.
It's cadence, but you know what you're doing? It really hits a key piece that I talk about in the book. Your goal is to spend more time with fewer prospects. Because if I spend more time with fewer prospects, I'm going to close at a lot higher percentage. And again, because I think too many people don't have a sales pipeline, but they have a sales parking lot. They have all these leads and all these things. I was with an organization recently, and I couldn't believe it, but this guy was actually counting new LinkedIn connections as leads. Give me a break.
No, that's funny.
That guy's going to be hungry. Bad salespeople have hungry kids.
Unless their wife or husband makes a lot.
Yeah, but it's insane, because I think people have thought that they could take social media and that's the way they no longer have to make cold phone calls. That's the way they I'm like, oh man, you're killing me here, because really the ability to know more about prospects has never been greater. I mean, I could Google your name right now, and believe me, there's some pictures out there about you.
Yeah.
Well, we'll kind of share them at the end at the end of this.
Well, the best part is if you Google my name, there's a multi-millionaire. There's only one other Jack Kosakowski. He's a multi-millionaire who runs and owns Junior Achievement. So don't get me mixed up with him. I'm the broke Jack Kosakowski.
Yeah, you are the broke. You're in sales, dude. You're not supposed to be broke, because the good sales.
Well, I'm broke compared to him. Okay. Well, here's something, thinking about prospecting, and I know that, you have talked a lot about the connection piece. A lot of sales reps, and this is just nuts to me, but it's the most simple thing that a sales rep could do today to get results tomorrow, is going through their existing current, customer database and their prospecting database and making sure that you're connected to every single buyer on multiple channels. And the reason that I say that is because the easiest business to create is the business that you've already created, right? So, making sure you go through all your contacts and saying, okay, I'm not connected to a lot of these people. I'm going to send a personalized invite LinkedIn just to say, hey, it's been a while. We've done business in the past. Would love to just do a phone call and catch up, right? No sales pitch, just, connect with old buyers and, follow them on Twitter, right? Follow them on Instagram and use social360.me to do that. And you can really efficiently streamline that process and make sure that you at least keep your social network in the beginning, tight with all the people that are your customers or were your customers.
Yeah, because you know what you're doing there? You're creating a higher level of confidence and trust with that existing customer. Because what happens is, I see this so many times with salespeople who have long sales cycles. It may be a customer that you only sell to once every 2 or 3 years. If you don't have a way to methodically stay in touch with them, you fall out. You just fall out of their wheelhouse. One of the easiest ways to overcome that is by using those social media connections. That way you stay in their wheelhouse, you stay in their connection. Now, you're not going to be top of the funnel with them in terms of, wow, they're going to wake up. I didn't wake up this morning thinking about you, Jack. Sorry, it just did not happen. But it just brings you back around enough to where you stay in that level of awareness. Because here's that whole thing. Not only are you going to get more business out of your existing customers, but they're also going to do they're going to be far more likely to refer you and connect you with other people. And I'll tell you what, especially as you move your way up the food chain in organizations, that level of trust, that level of who you connect with, it is amazing how powerful it is. And that's really, if you think about it, that was the essence of why LinkedIn was originally created.
Yeah.
Salespeople have to really get back into that habit and be using it.
So you bring up another good point, but the way that you talk about the one-to-one. So I always say to sales reps, especially when they're new to social, is like, they say, well, what should I do, Jack? And I say, your job is to get visible on as many channels to your buyer, valuable and connected to as many targeted, revenue-focused individuals inside of an account that you can, right? To give as much massive value as you can. And one of the things, people say, well, I'm not, Instagram's not valuable to sales. Well, I would tell you that I wouldn't start on Instagram, but it doesn't take a long time to create an Instagram and put, some pictures up once in a while when you're on vacation or, having fun and really show that authentic side. Because if you're connected and following your buyer on Instagram, you're connected and following your buyer on Twitter, you're connected and following your buyer on LinkedIn, and even more importantly, like we talked about, you said, Mark, you told me, if there was a guy that told you, if you get connected on Facebook, that's the easiest way to show the authentic, side of you as a one-to-one individual and really get people to kind of buy into you. Now, I would say that if you get connected and you're consistently giving value on those channels, whether that's personally or professionally, because we're using all these channels differently, you are going to not only grow and expand your network, but you're going to strengthen the relationships in your network without even actually doing anything but just being you. And that's maybe sounds fluffy to some people, but this is the reality of the world that we live in, and it's not going to change.
It is because what we're doing is we're creating that level of authenticity and trust and confidence. And it's interesting, let your personality come through. Now, don't do this stupid stuff. We're not going to run down that rabbit trail. But it's amazing how when you allow yourself to be a little bit exposed from a personal standpoint on some of those sites, and again, not doing stupid stuff, it's amazing how more authentic people view you and they see you and they connect with you and they engage with you. I don't know. I get absolutely frustrated when I run into people who say, oh no, I'm not going to do social media. I don't do social media. I don't. And I go, whoa, guess what? That's like somebody 25 or 30 years ago. No, I don't use the telephone. I don't use the telephone because I only want to make door-to-door sales calls. Well, guess what? that person's probably pretty hungry right now. You better get on the bandwagon. And it's kind of interesting because isn't it amazing how different industries embrace different platforms? I mean, I work in a whole wide range of industries, and there are some industries that they're still really trying to figure out, is Twitter a bird? I mean, they have no clue. So again, you pick those platforms that work for those industries. But another key piece there is you got to go and embrace those where your prospects are. Who's your dream client? Who is your dream customer? Where are they hanging out at? Those are the people you want to be nurturing. Those are the people you want to be connecting with. It's not quantity, it's quality. Those are the people that you're going to bring. Yeah.
And from a perception standpoint, I think that we always try to talk about social media and the process and, the exact impact that it's going to have on, media revenue and things like that. But I explained this to somebody the other day. I said, if people don't know what you do, they can never refer you business, right? And if you think about, your day in the life of a sales rep, let's say that you're at a conference, right? And you're having fun, you're having a beer, you're with a couple customers, or, you're at the booth, taking pictures and putting them on your Instagram and on your Twitter and things like that, on your Facebook. I can't tell you how many people have referred me business that I went to high school with that know what I do, because I don't tell the people what I do. I just show my daily life in my business, and I expose what I do through my story, right? And if you don't believe in social, that's fine. But I can tell you, you don't have to sell on social. Show your day. Show what you do, because how many people do you have in your Facebook network or your LinkedIn network, your Twitter network that want to refer you business, right? Like they at some point in your life, whether it was in high school, you've deepened a relationship. You might not talk to them anymore, but they see, oh, hey, Jack sells, social media, training and social selling and sales training, whatever that is. And I get a referral saying, hey, my buddy owns a business and he's asking me, and I see that you're doing all this cool stuff. Like, you should have a conversation with him. And that's just like, I haven't talked to these people in 5 years, but they're bought into my story because I'm visible, right? I'm valuable in some way to them. And when I say I'm valuable, it's because I've had a deep relationship with them in the past that had nothing to do with business. But now that I'm visible of what I do, they want to connect me. And that's really...
Yeah. Your social platform, your social presence is really how you dress. It's the car you drive. It's your life. And those people say, oh, I don't want to develop my social presence. Well, do you walk out of the door naked in the morning? Put on clothes, and it's amazing, but the clothes you put on represent you. You put a little bit of time into thinking into, what do I want to wear today? But what are people doing? They're using what you wear to really, that represents you. That's your social platform. That's your social presence.
And here's another example, right? Let's say you're in a competitive deal, and you're up against 3 other salespeople. And you are the only salesperson that this buyer is connected to on Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and they see that you've got a beautiful family, right? That you're I'll use this just as an example, that you're a Christian, and they can relate to that. There's so many ways that you can use social media just to be you that can actually strengthen and connect with the buyer, and you might not even know it, right? I mean, it's
huge.
It's crazy how many times, like, I've had buyers say, oh, that's cool, I didn't know you were a Chelsea fan. Like, I'm a Chelsea soccer fan. And that immediate impact is like, they're going to do business with a Chelsea soccer fan, right? But I'm not going to have that conversation in a sales meeting, but I can let them get connected and let that impact them throughout the sales process. Those are the little things that, just taking a little bit of time can help you, create, strengthen, and influence the sale.
Well, and what does that allow you to do? Because if I know that you're a Chelsea fan and you're my customer, so Chelsea has a good match, what do I want to do? I want to reach out to you and say, hey, did you catch the match last night? Did you catch that? Again, when I know more about you socially, it gives me more opportunities to connect with you. And it really comes back to that first thing that we talked about in terms of the email. When I can personalize that email with personally in terms of what you're doing, wow, it raises the level of interest. It is so easy to do. And I think it allows us in sales to have a lot more fun. Because I know we increase our closing ratio because we're taking our sales funnel. It's no longer a parking lot. I want to have a fast moving water pipe where I'm bringing people in, I'm moving them through to the close, and boom, we've got customers. Because
and the last thing, and then I know we're kind of short on time, but is the number one plague that always makes me cringe is when a salesperson gets on a sales call and they don't really know much about the buyer and they only can sell because they can't have a conversation about anything else because they don't know anything else because all they've done is gone and skimmed their LinkedIn profile. Oh, I see that you used to work at, how can you take the awkwardness out of the sales conversation? The easiest way is to use the social channels to be able to relate a commonality to you. And there's nothing more powerful for me, from selling and being sold is when a sales rep gets on the phone and says, man, I see that you're a huge soccer fan. I'm like, yeah, what's your team? Oh, yeah, I'm a Man U fan. Oh, God, well, we can't, I never buy from a Man U fan. And literally we'll talk for 5-10 minutes, whether I'm buying, the buyer or the seller. We'll talk about 5 to 10 minutes, and then we'll have to go. We're having such a great conversation about everything that we have in common and everything that's not about our product that we have to almost bring the conversation back. When you have to bring the conversation back early in a sales call because you've connected on something, that's when you're going to keep somebody engaged. You're going to get their attention, and you can actually start to sell.
I love it. I love it. Hey, we got to wrap this up, but people got to reach out to you over there at the Creation Agent because you are crushing it. You are having fun, aren't you?
I mean, this is what I love, man. I mean, I don't do this for any other reason because, I want to leave, I want to create a movement, right? I mean, I want to create a movement of sales reps that not only, I'll let you teach them how to sell. I just want to teach them how to give, buyers something other than being really good at selling,
So if we combined High Profit Prospecting, the book, with Jack at Creation Agent, wow. Hey, there it is.
I mean,
get off the run, right?
You got to do everything good in sales today. You can't say that you're not going to cold call. You can't say you're not going to cold email. You can't say you're going to send really good emails. You can't say you're not going to do anything. You have to do it all, and you have to figure out, where are you the best at it, and tie little pieces of all this stuff together. I mean, this is 2016, people. Quit whining and start winning. And there's a lot of information out there to start doing it.
Stop whining and start winning. From Jack on Leslie. I love it, man. I love it. Hey, great to catch up with you, man.
All right. Well, we'll have to do this again. Thanks, Mark.